Year 11. So, first revision video on Romeo and Juliet by me, Mrs. Sunderland. It will be useful for this if you have your Year 10 mock exam paper and if you have some equipment such as a pen, a notebook and a highlighter. So if you want to get those ready, that will be useful for this session. Year 11, so if you've watched the previous video on the exam paper changes, you will have seen the picture that is on the screen and you should already be aware of what is on each paper. If you look at the section in the green box, you will see that this outlines section A, which is compulsory, which means you have to answer this section. All the bits on paper 2 you will notice are compulsory, so there is no choice. You get your booklet and you answer everything and there is in the booklet. You will get one question on the Shakespeare play of your choice. That means that in the booklet there will be different Shakespeare questions on different plays. So there may be a Macbeth question, there will be a Romeo and Juliet question, there may be a Julius Caesar. Of course, you've studied Romeo and Juliet, so you answer your Romeo and Juliet question. There will only be one and you will have to answer that one. You will get up to 34 marks for your answer. 30 of your marks come from the first 3 assessment objectives, and then 4 of your marks come separately for AO4. Okay, and in the next few slides I will explain how you get those marks. The time that you should be spending on your total paper is 1 hour and 45 minutes. On your Shakespeare question, you will be spending probably about an hour on this question, and that includes your thinking and your planning time. Okay, so for this you are looking at about 1 hour, which leaves you with 45 for the other section. Okay, you will also get an extract from the play, so you will get a section to look at that will be printed on the exam paper that you will refer to. Okay, but I will go through that in the next few slides in this video. Okay, so what will your question look like? Well, you can see on the page here that you've got down here you've got an example of a question. The blue box is at the top. On the page you get a sentence that tells you where in the play your extract is from. So obviously there are 5 acts and scenes within the acts, so there's quite a lot to remember from the play. So to help you in the exam, AQA tell you whereabouts, which act and which scene the extract is from. The green section then tells you very simply what is happening in the extract. So here the sentence says, at this point in the play, Benvolio is discussing the public brawl and the whereabouts of Romeo with Lady Montague. Doesn't give you a whole great big lot of detail, but it gives you a rough idea of what is happening in the plot. Okay, and you should read everything on the page. So you read, obviously the colour boxes around them, but you read that information at the top. So before you start reading the extract, you already have an idea of what you are reading and you're not having to figure it out as you are reading. You are preparing yourself as fully as possible for reading the extract, and you're helping yourself to look for other things rather than trying to understand where is this extract, what is happening in this extract. You already know that because you've read the information at the top of the page. Okay, the bit that I've put the purple box around is obviously the extract, and you will notice that you also have some line numbers at the side. Those are simply there to help you navigate your way around the play. Okay, you don't need to refer to them in your question, in your answer at all. They're just there to help you navigate your way around the extract. And then finally, at the bottom, in the pink box, you have your question. Question 2. It's always question 2. I do believe Macbeth comes first, which you don't answer. So the question says, starting with this conversation, explain how far you think Shakespeare presents powerful feelings. And then you get 2 bullet points, and it says, write about how Shakespeare presents powerful feelings in this extract. And then it says how Shakespeare presents powerful feelings in the play as a whole. And obviously, as already mentioned, it says you get 30 marks and you get your 4 marks for your AO4. It doesn't say what marks you get for the different bullet points. Okay, so you need to make sure that you read the whole of the page right down to the bottom where your question is. There's lots going on there. Okay, you need to refer to the extract. You also need to refer to the play as a whole. If you just wrote about the extract and simply picked out language techniques, words and phrases, quotations from the extract, and wrote about how they presented powerful feelings and wrote a really brilliant answer, grade 9 analysis, you wouldn't get a grade 9 because you are also asked to write about the play as a whole. Okay, so you must make sure you are also using quotations outside of this extract. Okay, so there are lots of things that you need to do. You need to make sure that you are writing about the extract, but you are also writing about the play as a whole, and you are writing about the key words from the question, powerful feelings. Okay. Okay, so what do you get your 34 marks for? AO1, you can get up to 12 marks for this, and the exam mark scheme states that you need to read, understand and respond to the texts. Sounds quite simple. Basically what the examiner is looking for is whether or not you can identify key themes, then explore them in reference to the question, back them up with quotations that support what you are trying to say. So how do you do that in your exam answer? Well, can the examiner see that you are writing about themes in your exam question? Can you then make sure you write about them in reference to the question? And can you back up what you are saying and all your ideas with appropriate quotes? Okay, now the better you do this, obviously the more marks you get. So you will obviously have remembered some quotations for Romeo and Juliet, but whether or not you choose to use certain quotations in your exam and how you use them will get you the better marks. Okay, so if you've just remembered 3 quotations, you're not necessarily going to get full marks for this assessment objective. But if you've got a selection of quotations that you can draw on to use depending on what the question is, and you know those questions fairly well, and they're quite powerful quotations that you know you've got a really good word in there, that you can write about some symbolism. For example, you've got a few bird quotations and you could write about the symbolism of birds, or some dark and light symbolism quotations, because they could come up with anything, and they of course back up this idea of themes. Okay, then you can then explore those quite detailed by zooming in on single words, really writing about them well. Okay, that is your AO1 with up to 12 marks available out of your 34. Okay. Right, your next 12 marks available then are for AO2, and this is your language analysis. This is the thing that you're all very, very used to doing, analysing language, form and structure, how the writers use those to create effects, as well as using subject terminology. Okay, so you've got your quotations, you're writing about the themes, and you are showing how you can show the effect of those on the audience. Okay, the techniques that Shakespeare has used. It's not about identifying fancy techniques. It's not about using fancy subject terminology. It's just about using subject terminology. So you could simply be writing about the verbs and the adjectives that Shakespeare uses. It could be about using subject terminology such as audience, such as context, such as character. Okay, as long as you use them effectively throughout your answer, then you are effectively using subject terminology. Analysing language, this is a really important part of your answer. Okay, this is the big part, and it's about really digging out that meaning and not giving a shallow, simple answer to the effect of that simile or that metaphor or that verb or the rhyme or the sonnet that has been used to explore the theme that you have picked out. It is about getting that multiple interpretation, those layers of effect, and really trying to dig out what meaning Shakespeare was trying to put across, or what meaning you can get out of it. Because it doesn't matter what Shakespeare meant by it, it's about what you can dig out of it. Okay. So your final 6 marks for your first assessment objectives for AO3 are for context, which you should all be aware of what it is now, because you've been doing this for quite a while. And it's not just about tagging on a paragraph about context information. It's about including relevant information on the context of your play. So this could be about information to do with family loyalty. It could be information to do with the role of women. It could be information to do with the belief in fate or religion at the time. But try not to just tag it onto a separate paragraph. Try to interweave it into your analysis, into your paragraphs that you are analysing on the themes of the play and the effect of language techniques. So why was Shakespeare creating that effect? How was he trying to affect the audience at the time that he wrote the play? What were their beliefs at the time, and how would it have affected them during that time? Okay, so finally, your final 4 marks. AO4, spelling, punctuation and grammar. This is about how clearly you can express your ideas. It's not just about spelling every word right, punctuating your sentences with a full stop and a capital letter. It is about clearly expressing your ideas. Obviously, you need to try and make sure that you put capital R for Romeo, capital J for Juliet, spell Shakespeare right because it's written in the question. But try and use effective vocabulary to express your ideas. So when your teacher asks you to try and rephrase your answer, to try and think of a better word to explain your idea, that is going to get you just those few more marks. It's first of all going to make your analysis better, but it's also going to make sure you're using a range of vocabulary and sentence structures for clarity. It's going to make your explanation clearer to the examiner and make your ideas better. Okay, and also accurate spelling and punctuation, and those are vital 4 marks that you can easily pick up. So be very careful about trying to make sure that you clearly explain your answers with very carefully chosen vocabulary, that your sentences make sense, but you spend 2 minutes at the end just checking for certainly spelling and punctuation errors. Doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but just spotting any silly mistakes that you may have made in a rush when you're in kind of the zone of the exam, and just looking for any obvious capital letters that you should have had for capital nouns, and any silly mistakes with full stops, and just trying to correct those at the end of the exam. That may just pick you up that extra little mark that you might need. Okay. So finally, how can this video help you revise? What is it that you actually need to do? If you've got your Romeo and Juliet exam paper and the question, what you need to do is have a look at it. Have a look at the feedback that your teacher has given you. Have a look at the question that you answered. It's a long time since you sat that Romeo and Juliet question paper. Okay, it's pre-lockdown. It's March 2020. And read your answer. Read the question, read your answer, and look at the key focus of the question. Can you see in your answer where you've addressed that key focus? Where have you picked out examples of that key focus from the extract? Then, where have you picked out examples of that key extract in other parts of the play? Where are your quotations from other parts of the play? And on top of that, look at your analysis. Where have you analysed, writing with a mouse, where have you analysed the extract and other parts of the play? How good is that analysis? Have you really dug out some meaning? How many things have you said about a single word or a technique? Could you say some more? What is the quality of your analysis? Then, what have you said about contextual information? Where have you referred to the context of the play? Okay, if you can't see that you have, go and look for something that you could include. Go do some research, look through your exercise book, go look through a revision book, go onto the English KJS website. Where can you find some contextual information that is relevant, that is useful, that can be embedded into your answer? And finally, your SPAG. What SPAG marks did you get? Did you get 4? If you didn't get 4, where are you missing that extra mark? Okay, can you look for where you can just pick up a few extra marks? The other thing that you can then do is you can look at rewriting certain parts of your answer. Can you improve parts of your analysis? Can you write some contextual sentences to include? Can you find some quotations from other parts of the play to include? And look at improving that answer. Okay, until you actually start writing about Romeo and Juliet, don't just sit and look at your exercise book. Try and start getting pen to paper and revising, and try and rewrite parts of that answer, and that will be a really good revision topic for you. If you're stuck, ask your teacher, ask them to look at your exam paper for you, because it's a while since you looked at it. Make sure you read your feedback and make sure you understand it. Okay, good luck, and the next video will be looking at an actual question on the Friar and planning it and seeing how you could write about it.